Here is something nobody tells you about a good girl going wrong. It doesn't happen all at once. It starts quietly, with a small choice, a harmless looking invitation, a moment where she tells herself, just this once, it won't matter. And before she even realizes it, she is standing somewhere she never was supposed to be, holding something she never was supposed to carry, with people her parents had warned her about. And the worst part, she had walked there with her own 2 feet. This was the story of Nia, a 12-year-old girl. Box braids down to her shoulders, a smile so warm that it could light up the darkest room in Kumasi. She lived in the Ahodo neighborhood, where the streets were lined with neem trees, and the smell of fried plantains drifted through the kitchen windows every evening. She was, by every account, a good girl, a church girl, a daughter her parents were very proud of and had poured everything into. But even the most beautiful river, if it flows long enough without a channel, will eventually find the wrong direction. And Nia, she was about to find ours. It was a Tuesday morning when it all started, though Nia wouldn't realize this until much later. She was sitting in a school compound at Adinkra Girls Academy, peeling an orange under the shade of a broad mango tree, when Akosua Darko came over and sat beside her, uninvited. Now, you have to understand something about Akosua. She was 13, a year older than most of the girls in their class, with long acrylic nails that the school rules technically did not allow, and a confidence that even made the teachers hesitate before correcting her. She wore her school uniform like it was a burden. She was tolerating, and she always seemed to know things, secrets, shortcuts, whose phone number was whose, which teacher was lenient on Fridays, and so on. Nia Mensa, she said, like she was announcing a name at a ceremony. I've been watching you. Nia looked up from her orange. Watching me for what? You're funny, Akosua said, tilting her head. Not funny like a joke. Funny like you're the only interesting person in this boring school. Nia didn't know what to say to that. She wasn't used to that kind of attention. Back home, our world was small and clear. Church on Sundays, homework in the evenings, our mother's cooking, our father's prayers at the dining table. The world Akosua seemed to belong to felt different, bigger, louder, and maybe more exciting. And that right there was a very small crack in the door. The Mensa home was one of those homes you feel the moment you walk in. Not because it is grand. No, it wasn't. It was a modest compound house with concrete floor in the sitting room and curtains that Nia's mother, Abena, had sewn herself from a bright kente print fabric. But there was something in the air of that house, warmth, order, and peace. Kofi Mensah, Nia's father, was a secondary school teacher who came home every day at exactly 5:30 and always hung his jacket on the same hook by the door. He was a quiet man, but the kind of quiet that made you feel safe, like the stillness before a deep river. He never shouted, he never needed to. Abena was different. She was expressive, warm, always moving, always cooking, doing something, singing something, praying out aloud over something. She had a habit of holding Nia's face in both her hands when she was making a point, an important one, like she wanted her words to go directly into her daughter's soul. That same Tuesday evening, while Nia set the table for dinner, Abena was at the stove, stirring a pot of light soup, and she said, without even turning around, "How was school today?" "Fine," Nia said. A pause. The spoon kept stirring. "Nia." "Mama?" "I heard Akoswa's mother was called to school again last week. Something about the girl she moves with." Nia set a bowl down carefully. "I don't really know her like that." Abena turned now, slowly, and looked at her daughter with those eyes that mothers have, the ones that already know the answer before they ask the question. "Good," she said simply, and turned back to her soup. But the way she said it made Nia feel something she hadn't expected. Not relief, not reassurance, something close to a low, uncomfortable itch. Like she had told a half-truth and her own heart had noticed. Because the truth was, she did find Akosua interesting, and that scared her and excited her, both at the same time. Over the next 2 weeks, Akosua made it a personal mission to make Nia feel seen. It was small things at first, saving her a seat, sharing snacks from a paper bag, laughing loudly at Nia's jokes in front of other girls, which made other girls start to pay attention to Nia too. It felt intoxicating. This sudden social warmth from a girl who seemed to know everyone and fear nothing. Then the group expanded. There was Sewa, whose earrings were shaped like stars and always smelled of body spray that cost more than Nia's weekly pocket money. There was Efia, who was quiet but watched everything with calculating eyes. And there was Mamaya, the loud and dramatic and always performing one, who could make anything sound like the most exciting event that had ever happened in the history of Kumasi. Nia's parents didn't know these girls. They had approved of two of her friends, Adwa, a serious girl from their church whose mother and Abena prayed together on Sunday mornings, and Kukua, a sweet round-faced girl who lived 3 compounds away and came to Nia's house so often she practically knew where everything was kept. These were the friends Kofi and Abena had met, prayed with, and welcomed. Akosua and her circle were a different story. And so, without consciously planning it, Nia began to live 2 worlds. In one world, she was a parent's daughter, obedient, present, Sunday school attendee, homework finished before dinner girl. While in the other world, she was becoming something she couldn't quite name yet, something that felt free, something that felt sin, something that felt, and it was the most dangerous part, real. It was on a Friday afternoon, exactly 3 weeks after the first time Akosua sat beside her under the mango tree, that the first real test came. Akosua pulled Nia aside near the school gate and spoke in a low, whispering voice. "Saturday afternoon, Kwame Junction. There's a place, Zara's shop. They just got in new things, tops, bags, earrings, and so on. Sarah knows the girl at the counter. She lets us try things on. It's fun, you should come, you know." Nia felt the familiar pull, that magnetic feeling she couldn't explain. But she also felt something else, a flicker of hesitation. Her parents didn't know Akosua. They would never approve of this. "I'll let you know," she said. She went home and spent the whole evening trying to convince herself not to go. She sat at the dining table and listened to her father talk about a student who had been suspended for keeping the wrong company. And she thought, this is a sign. She lay in bed that night and whispered a small prayer to God. God, show me what to do. And she meant it. She woke up on Saturday morning, her mind made up. She was not going. But then, Mama Ya sent her a message, a voice note, 30 seconds of excitement and laughter, and the promise of how much fun it was going to be. And Nia sat with her phone in her hand, listening to it twice, and something in her chest said, just this once. She told her mom she was going to Adua's house. She didn't go to Adua's house. Kwame Junction on a Saturday afternoon was alive. Hawkers weaving between slow-moving cars. Music from a speaker propped outside the phone shop. The smell of grilled corn and the exhaust mixing in the warm air. Nia walked towards it and felt a flutter of something. Nervousness, anticipation. Akosua was already there, sunglasses on, looking like she belonged on the magazine cover. The others came minutes later, and for a while, honestly, for a little while, it was exactly what Mama Ya said in her voice note. They laughed. They tried on earrings. Sewer's friend at the counter let them hold scarves and cheap jewelry against their clothes and make exaggerated model faces. Nia laughed genuinely. Her heart was light. And then a phone rang. The name on the screen, Mama. The laughter around her continued. Akosua raised a brow, and Nia felt the air shift. She stepped to the side and answered it. Nia, where are you? I called Adua's mother. The world stopped. The music from the phone shop kept playing. A hawker shouted something about tomatoes. And Nia stood there, in the middle of Kwame Junction, with her heart in her throat. Mama, come home now. The call ended. Nia walked home slowly. Even though every instinct in her told her to walk faster, she needed the time to prepare something. Some version of the truth that would soften the landing. But by the time she pushed open the compound gates and saw her parents sitting in the small sitting room, both of them, which meant that it had been planned, which meant her father knew too, she had nothing prepared. Her mother's eyes weren't angry. That was almost worse. They were worried. Sit down, her father said. She sat. There was a long silence that felt like forever. Then Kofi Mensah leaned forward, elbows on his knees, and said, Do you know what scared us today? Not that you went somewhere we did not approve. What scared us was that you lied, easily, without hesitation. He paused. That's not the Nia we raised. Abena reached forward and took Nia's hand. Her voice was soft. We are not your enemies, Nia. We are the two people in this world who will love you the most, no matter what. But we cannot protect you from what we don't know about. Nia looked down. Her throat was tight. I'm sorry, she whispered. Her father prayed over her that night, a simple quiet prayer, asking God to guard her heart and guide her steps. Nia sat in that prayer and felt something she couldn't quite name, something warm and heavy and true. But she was 12, and 12 is an age where even a genuine sorry can be forgotten by the time a new message comes in. She thought that was the end of it. She was wrong.